Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I made a video, but the holidays always end up taking up a bunch of my time and I just haven't made time to make a video, but I am back. I've been coming up with a bunch of ideas that I've been putting down on paper, so the videos will start rolling again soon, hopefully. And we're going to start today. But before we start with today's video, I want to kind of give you a few updates. Number one, the other day I hit the 10,000th download on Shutterstock, which took me a while to get there, but it's kind of a big accomplishment, I guess, a small milestone at the very least. Also, we're on our way to 600 subscribers, which I appreciate you. If you are a new subscriber, thank you for that. If you have been a subscriber for a long time, I thank you for your loyalty. And hopefully we will get in more and more subscribers this year. One of my goals for 2022 is to hit 1,000. That's a kind of a plateau that I always try to hit. Of course, subscribers are not really something in my control other than just producing content that people would want to subscribe to. So that's my goal. The hope is 1,000 subscribers. So if you're one of those people that have already subscribed, thank you. If you haven't yet, I would greatly appreciate it if you did. And yeah, let's get into today's video. What I want to do in the video today is what I'm going to consider kind of a photo challenge for myself. I want to do more and more of these things, just, different ideas that I see people doing or, other YouTube channels have done or wherever I see the images. I want to challenge myself to do the same. Now for this challenge, this is something that I kind of did on my own. The other day my wife was decorating the house for Christmas. I went and took this picture. This is something that hangs in the foyer of our house every year. She does kind of the same little setup. But I did 4 different photographs of this particular scene, did different lighting, and then I blended them together to create the final image. So I got to thinking, I want to do a product shot like that where I only use one light, and the light I'm going to use, I actually have it in the background going on right now, but this Lume Cube Mini, it's just a small little light. I've shown it on the channel before. So I'm going to create a product shot here in the studio. I'm only going to light it with the Lume Cube, and I'm going to take several different photographs, putting the light in different places to light the different areas of the product that I need to do, including the background. And then in Photoshop, I'll blend them all together to create one final image. Should be fun. Let's go. I have to admit to you guys that last evening I photographed those images, got everything shot the way I wanted it, and then I got lazy and just hung out the rest of the evening and then went to bed. But I got up the next day, which is today, brought them all into Photoshop, did the Photoshop work, and I want to show you all of that here in just a second. I ended up taking about 15 images. I picked 7 of them to use and ended up only using 6 of them. But let me show you really quick the setup and talk just a little bit about what I had to do with this. Let me see if I can show this correctly. Right here's the camera, product is right here, and then this little mini light. What I did was I just moved it around the subject however I needed it. Now, a couple of things, I would not normally do it like that. It really was more of a photo challenge to me, see if I could do it, come up with something neat. I really wouldn't do client work like that because it's not very efficient to take 7 different images, try to piece them all together and make it look right. But if you're somebody that only has the one light, or you're of a very limited amount of equipment to use, you know, you can still get it done. Now, a few of the things that I had to overcome. Number one, if you notice, the camera is leaning backwards. So I had to correct the vertical lines, the keystoning, if you will. That's pretty common with, you know, unless you have a tilt shift lens to correct that. So I had to fix that in Photoshop. The other challenge I had, which really wasn't too much of a challenge, was dealing with the room light. The little mini light I had turned on, and I had to use a timed exposure. I think I was at 1/8 of a second. But if I had a lot of sunlight coming through the windows or something like that, that could affect the ambient exposure, which in my case, I shot it late enough in the evening, plus it's been gloomy and dark for the last couple of days, so this room is fairly dark. But if you're not using strobes, you've got to pay attention to that ambient light. The other thing I want to point out, and I'm a big proponent of this, and in the digital age, I think it's really easy to get away from this. Even though I knew there'd be a lot of Photoshop work to be done to this image, I wanted to get every one of those images as perfect in camera as I could. I didn't want to do a lot of retouching and contrast changing and, you know, all this fixing afterwards. I am not somebody that aspires to, I can just fix that in post. I don't like that mentality. Post-production and actions and presets and all that are wonderful, but I do not ever want to rely on them as a crutch. So the images that you're seeing, except for the blending, are straight out of the camera. So let me quickly show you these 6 layers that make up the image and tell you a little bit how I did it. The very first thing I did was I took all the images that I thought I needed, brought them into one single Photoshop file. You grab all the layers. I go into auto align the layers, which works out really pretty well, and it puts them all together. Now I had a little bit of a problem with that because on some of the images, you know, one side of the bottle was not very distinct. It was in complete shadow, so it was very dark. And I think Photoshop had a little bit of a hard time lining them up perfectly. I actually had to kind of warp and twist one highlight layer to kind of get it to line up with the edge of the layer below it. But it wasn't a huge deal. It did a pretty good job with that. But once I brought those layers in, I then put a layer mask on each one, darken the mask layer so I've hidden the layer, and then I just use a brush, basically use just a soft edge brush, and paint back in the parts of the layer that I want to use from each image. It was a fun project, kind of a challenge to myself, and I'll be putting it on the website. I don't have a problem showing this as a portfolio piece. I think it turned out pretty good. So if you got comments or questions, let me know. I really didn't dive into the whole technical side of it in the Photoshop area. So if you got questions about that, you know, by all means, let me know. I love to hear from you guys, and it's always nice to know that you're watching. And, you know, if you have comments how I could have done it better, I'm all open to that as well. So love to hear from you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, now's your chance to do that. I appreciate it. Everybody who has subscribed, thank you so much. It means the world to me. Give me a thumbs up if you would, and I guess that's it. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve, heading into a new year, and I hope you guys are doing well. I'll see you next time.